Welcome to the very first video. So this one is going to be on Tadasana, also called mountain pose. So this posture is really the most foundational of all the standing yoga postures. It teaches us how to use our feet and legs in a way that's active and engaged and supports the spine. So really, really important. Now I will be using a block, but that is absolutely not essential or necessary. But if you like to have a block, if you have one, you might like to grab it. If you don't have one, please don't worry about it. That's okay. So what we're going to be doing is learning how to stand. I know that sounds overly simplistic. Please don't underestimate the power of this. So the one thing we want to look at is something called finding a neutral pelvis. So to understand this, I once had the analogy given to me from a yoga teacher of thinking of your pelvis as being like a bowl and having water filled in the bowl of your pelvis. And when you have an anterior tilt, it's like the water is kind of spilling forward. And when you have a forward tilt, it's like the belly spilling forward. And there's not much support for the spine. Sometimes the knees kind of lock back to compensate for balance. It's not as healthy. It kind of crunches the low back. The other one is a posterior tilt or a backward tilt to the pelvis. And that's like if water was spilling out of the back of your pelvis. And this kind of just doesn't give enough room for breathing. It kind of compresses the lungs. It's just not as optimal either. And again, you can see how maybe it's kind of compressing in here. I'm exaggerating it, but many of us will have a tendency towards, I have a tendency towards a forward tilt. I have a lot of curve here in my low back. So for me, I tend to move in that direction a little bit more than is ideal for my health. So we want to find a neutral pelvis where our pelvis is neither tipping forward or tipping back. So the low back is kind of lengthened. I even might feel like a connection. My glutes engage slightly, not grippy, but they're just a little bit engaged, and the low back lengthens. And I feel more balanced. I feel more weight in my heels. I feel a little bit more balanced. So you want to find a neutral pelvis for you, okay? Just to the best of your ability. Don't overthink it, but just to the best of your ability. So mountain pose is done in two ways. Sometimes the feet together, which is also sometimes called samasthiti, and which means equal standing. Or mountain pose is most commonly taught with the feet hips width apart. So that's how we're going to be looking at it today. It gives you a slightly wider base, and it's just a little bit more stable for many of us. So now I'm going to use a block. Again, if you don't have one, you can either imagine one's there or just let it go. Don't worry about it. But I want to take a moment to engage my feet. So I want to spread the toes, make the feet as long and as wide as I can, and see if I can find like these 3 points or like a triangle at the base of the foot. So I have the mound of the big toe, the mound of the little toe. It's actually a little bit further back from the mound, but right around there, mound of the big toe, mound of the little toes on the outside, and the heel. So that's like a triangle, like a tripod. And I want to find the weight evenly between the inner mound of the big toe, the outer mound of the little toes, and the heel. But in essence, I want to feel like I'm making my feet as long and as wide as I can to engage the legs, finding a neutral pelvis, maybe even drawing the lower belly in a little bit to kind of lift the front of the pelvis a little bit to find a neutral pelvis. And then I'm going to take the arms down by the sides, roll the shoulders back and down, spread the fingers. Now I'm going to press down into the feet and reach up to the top of my head and lengthen the spine, make myself as tall as I can. So you want to be as tall as you can. Shoulders draw back and down, and I reach down to the fingertips. Okay, so this is mountain pose, Tadasana. Press down into the feet, engage the legs, lengthen the spine, make yourself as tall as you can. Shoulders back and down, and fingertips reaching down towards the earth. Now, if you really engage here, you will be working a lot of muscles. Okay, it's not like you're just chilling out. You're actually kind of really engaged and active. Okay, so that is Tadasana, mountain pose. And in the next video, we're going to be looking at Uttanasana, or the standing forward fold. Thank you.